Hello and welcome to episode 85 of our Conversations to Connect. Let's Get Real, powered by Exceptional Connections. I'm Cyndi O'Neill-Dady, the founder and chief connector of Exceptional Connections since 2009. Yes, that makes 17 years this year. That's exciting news. Our conversation to connect today is with the fabulous Molly Klipp joining us from Marysville, Washington. Welcome, Molly.
Hi there. Hi there, everybody.
Oh my goodness. I am so excited to be able to walk alongside you as we unpack your topic that you shared with our Exceptional Connections community, teaching AI with ChatGPT, build your DNA clone, plus create on-brand AI imaging fast, right?
That's right.
That's the magic. So, before we dive into this rich conversation, I want to take a moment to introduce Molly to our exceptional connectors who may not already know her. Molly Klipp is the founder of Carefree Beauty Permanent Makeup and the profit coach with Beauty Business Mastery. I love that. Beauty Business Mastery. With 43 years in the beauty industry and two successful companies behind her, she helps women feel confident and seen through permanent brows, eyeliner, and lips that simplify daily routines. We all need that, don't we? So, through Beauty Business Mastery, Molly coaches independent beauty professionals to systematize and strategize. There's a lot of tongue twisters here. Their businesses so they keep more of what they earn, reduce stress, and build a business that supports their life, not run it. Her style is practical and warm with a strong focus on clear offers, consistent client care, and simple money systems that create real profit. Married to her best friend for 48 years, Molly is a mom of four and proud grandma. She brings heart, experience, and straight talk to every room. Amen. Helping beauty business owners shorten their learning curve and grow with confidence. So, Molly, will you please share with us a bit about your journey before we kick off discussing teaching AI with ChatGPT and building your DNA clone?
Yeah, I would love to. Thank you, Cindy, for inviting me here today. And thanks for all who are on the call and who are listening. I have always had a heart for learning. I won't say that I know everything, but I'm open to learning everything I can. And when something interests me, I tend to go all in and take classes and boot camps and whatever it is I can do to be able to learn more. And when I learn something, I love sharing it. And so this is where this AI came in. In 2026, I started selling cosmetics in Rochester, New York. 2000 or 1985, moved up to Seattle and started the Alouette of Seattle franchise and did that for 30 years. Learned a lot of marketing, learned a lot of how to build a business and how to teach and train. I used to train thousands of women to do their business. But one of the things I didn't know how to do was how to run a business. And you knew the things, okay, the money comes in, the money goes out, the money comes in, the money goes out, but not necessarily how to strategize it, how to put it together. And it wasn't until I sold that company and started Carefree Beauty and I hired a business coach, Debbie Page, which some of you know. And she gave me the bedrock of what I have learned to be able to take my business and be able to make it uh, balance it and balance my business and my life together and how to be able to do it and strategize to make sure the money goes where it's supposed to go and to be able to do it stress free. And when she taught me that, then I started teaching it. I was a board member for the Society of Permanent Cosmetics Professionals, and I started teaching it to other people. And people kept saying, "When are you going to write a book? When are you going to start teaching classes? We need more of this." And so that's where Beauty Business Mastery came because I just had so many people asking me, "I need help. Teach me." So that's where it started.
Wow. You know what I really love is just the very beginning, you framed it with you love learning, you love going all in, and I've seen that. I've seen you do that time after time after time. And the brilliance of your saying you love to teach others, not only to be a contribution to all of us and other people, but also it cements what you're learning, right?
Yep. The more I teach, the more I learn.
That's right. I love
Hmm.
that.
Hmm.
So, Molly, you shared a fascinating presentation at our March Exceptional Connections event. And what first sparked your curiosity about using AI in this way? And how did you begin experimenting with it?
So I knew it was coming, and I knew it was coming up, and I belong to a mastermind. I'm continually getting coached by some of the top people in the industry on teaching other people and how to be able to get it out into the world. And so, being part of this mastermind, they had offered an AI boot camp. And I was going to be in Puerto Vallarta at the time, but I thought, okay, I'll just put my earbuds in, sit by the pool, and listen to the presentation. And that's what I did. And I'm taking notes as I'm sitting by the pool, and John's kind of going around the pool, and I'm just taking notes. Um, and when and then they offered a boot camp for it, and I'm like, I need to learn how to do this because this is going to be the way of the new world. Okay, it is. This is not going away. It is coming. And there's a lot of fear going into it, which I can answer some of that questions too, because I continue to listen to some of the top people in the field, and how it's all coming together. Anyway, so when I went to listen to this class, I thought I want to be able to learn how to do my business. I'm a very creative person. I love to create. I love to create classes. But what I get bogged down in, and this is my weak link, is I get bogged down in getting it perfect. I want it to be perfect. I want it to everything to be in a certain row. And I found myself over the last like a year before I took this class of creating all these courses that I wanted to put together. But it's like, okay, I got it in PowerPoint, I put it on Canva, and okay, this looks good. And where am I going to say this? And where I'm going to do this? And when I heard them talk about you can take that and you can shorten the time frame of what to put together, then I'm like, holy cow. And this is where it really triggered me because I have written 9 chapters of my book. But when I write like I talk. I just vomit on the page, for want of a better word, it just like goes out. And I just write. And then I knew I was going to go back and I was going to format it and make it look pretty. So I thought, and I remember taking the first class and I just went, I wonder if I took my first chapter and put it into ChatGPT after my clone, because it talks like me and I'll teach you how to do that. But because it talks like me, let me take my first chapter and I put it, I said, don't change the words, just fix the grammar, fix any punctuation, and put it in a format that's easy to read. 20 seconds later, the whole first chapter was done. And I'm reading it going, dang, this is good. And I'm like, this was 20 seconds. And then it proceeded to ask me, oh, would you like to teach a class on this? Would you like to put it in a PowerPoint presentation? Would you like me to make your slide presentation? Would you like me to make your notes for your slide? And I'm just like, my head just exploded going, holy cow. So I have gotten more work done on Beauty Business Mastery in the last 6 weeks than I did in the last 12 months because of
Wow.
AI.
Right, right. I've been playing with ChatGPT since its inception
Hmm.
for the same reason, because I didn't
Hmm.
want to be on the backside of it. I wanted to
Wanted to
kind
be
of
on.
get used to it, but there's so many more applications about
Oh,
it.
yes. Oh, yeah.
So, so Molly, many people are curious about AI,
Hmm.
just like our conversation and your being introduced to it and my hearing about it, but a little intimidated. So, what would
Hmm.
you say to someone who feels hesitant or overwhelmed about getting started with ChatGPT?
The the biggest fear that, when I'm talking to people, and I talk to a lot of different people about it, and my husband being one of them, they're like, this is a little nerve-wracking. It's going to take over the world, and it's going to, it's too smart to think about it. And what I have learned from some of these top people is AI, all it is pattern recognition. That's all it is. And back in the day, when babies were being trained, what was it? I was listening to a speaker yesterday, and they said in the early days, that people would look at the dog, and AI started with, okay, here's a picture of a dog, here's a picture of a cat. And so how to be able to differentiate between the facial structures. And babies were taught like that. If you showed a baby a picture of a cat, 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 dog, 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 it's repetition of a pattern that they then be able to recognize a dog to a cat. That's all AI is a speeded up version of recognizing patterns and fit into the questions we ask. And then what it does is it puts it together in a much faster speed. The saying is that internet opened the world. So, literally we can be all across, be in front of billions and billions of people. And what I don't know about you, but if I'm on Facebook or I can get lost in the reels, oh, look, voice, oh, look, oh, look, and then the funny ones they put up, I could get lost for hours doing that. I don't. I have to really literally go stop. Okay. But what AI has done is it's narrowed it down again to bring it down to, okay, this is what's important to me. This is what I'm looking for so that I'm not searching a bazillion different times and wasting time. AI now triggers it down to this is what I want to know. This is the information I want to ask. And I can actually narrow it down so that you're not wasting so much time.
I love the way you're, avoiding the overwhelm of all of, the things
Hmm.
that could happen and the negative parts of it and just embracing how it
Right,
can save time, how it can,
right.
help you to accomplish what you want to easier. I've found that for myself and I'm just, barely scratching it. So before we go into more of what you shared at our last event that everybody was, drooling over, um, for business owners who want to simplify and speed up their content creation. So there's social media posts, emails, websites, courses. What are a few practical ways that ChatGPT can help multiply their voice without losing the authenticity that's so important?
And it's interesting. I'm glad you brought up that word,
That word.
authenticity, that word. Um, the interesting thing when I was listening to the speaker yesterday, he said the biggest fear that people have is that they will lose their voice and
Mm.
that they will lose who they truly are if they use AI. And what he said, which made so much sense to me, and this is true, we've seen this across the board. In today's world, people want to be authentic. They want to hear who you are personally. And the more that you can create AI in your voice, that it's going to be who you are because you're not taking over. Like my newsletter I send out to my clients, AI doesn't touch that. That's something that I do, I write. AI doesn't get any part of that because that's who I am. That's my authentic self. My clients love reading my newsletters, and that doesn't get touched because my authenticity, there you go, I got it, is who I am. And in with AI coming, being authentically you is going to be more important than ever before. And so that was one of the things that this guy was talking. He's an expert in the field, and he says this is one of the things you got to understand is that the more authentic you are, is who you are, and tell people who you are, the more influence you are going to have because of the fact and we know it, we've already seen it on Facebook and social media. There is so much AI out there now that you literally, and we're starting to flip through going, okay, this is, we don't need to do any of that. And we're not, sorry, camera here. We are not, we could do this. Um, we are not trying to not be who we are. But if we're looking at the spam, it's like I get probably 10 emails a day asking to go through my website, right? It's spam. It's all the spam. Or how many times do we get things and we've been told, don't open that because it's spam? We recognize, oh, the emails are not correct, right? Same thing is happening in social media. When you see something that doesn't register with you, then you know it's spam. So people are going to get, and they already are. They're getting smart about making sure that that they don't deal with spam. The more authentic you are, going back to the authenticity of you, is be who you are. Get your if you using your chat gpts, which is one I use, and making it sound like your voice, you can be more creative while letting AI do the heavy lifting, right? So instead of having to okay, I want to bring my creative idea and I want to have all these slideshows on it. What if you had, oh, here's my idea, and I'm going to come back to your question to begin with. Here's my idea. Put it into a format that's in my voice and my words. And when I say my voice and my words, it's literally it will just type out, who how I would say it. And so where that comes in to the question where you're talking about is that if we are talking in our own words, then it allows people to see us. And so if we're doing social media posts, and here's what the beauty of it is, you can go in and like the example I use is that when I'm doing somebody's eyebrows and they're new to me, the same conversation happens. I do 3 types of brows. This is what, let me give you eyebrows 101. Microblading does this, soft powder does this, combination does this. And I do the same spiel. I can go into ChatGPT, put the microphone on, speak that entire spiel onto it, and then I can say prompt. The prompts is what the direction. That's what they call a prompt. It's the direction you give ChatGPT to do something, and I can just say take this audio and make 10 Facebook posts, 6 Instagram, make a reel, do a LinkedIn, and it will literally within 20, 30 seconds will give me posts that I need, you know, taking the information that I just audio put in there, and it will give you all the content you want for any social media platform you're going across. And you can do that for anything you do.
That's wild.
Yeah.
That is so crazy. Can you
Yep.
imagine? I mean, it eliminates the need for having an admin
Yep.
and all the extra time and
Yep.
effort that you put into that. So that it's very time saving. And you know what I love? I'm just going to say before we go into your slides is I'm a recovering perfectionist also, Molly.
Mm.
And so that's, there's good parts to that
Yep.
trait and then not so good that, sometimes
Slows
things
you down.
don't slows you down, right? There's a lot of roadblocks.
Yep.
But I love the time that we're in right now because it gives us permission to just be ourselves.
Yes.
We don't have to be somebody else. And
Yep.
my mom always used to say to me, Cyndi, be yourself. Everyone else is taken.
Mm-hmm.
And
That's
that
right.
always grounded me. So, Molly, let's feel free to share your screen. And for those who are on the
Okay.
podcast, Molly's going to describe what she's sharing here, but she has some very beautiful graphics, and we'll do our best to describe them so that you can come along on the journey with us and be able to benefit from this conversation.
So when I was teaching this, and I've taught this a few times because I get so excited about it. And so let me just go through here. There's basically 9 steps that you need to do to get your clone set up. And the reason for the clone is because of the fact, and you answer the questions, which I'll show you. And I actually have a PDF version of this. And if you were at the meeting last week, you got the copy of it. And all you have to do, and here's a little tip for you too, is that if you have anything that's in printed form, you can take a snapshot of it, scan it, whatever you want to do, but take a snapshot of it. You can take that snapshot, put it into ChatGPT and say, put this in a text form. So it'll literally will take the photo with all the words, take all the words and put it into a text form that you can copy and paste, which saves you. I don't know how many times that I've ever gone and had to retype something because I had a copy of it, but I didn't have the Word document to copy and paste it. So ChatGPT will do that for you, which again, huge time saver. So I use ChatGPT because that's what I was trained on. There are other versions. There's Claude. There's a bunch of different versions. There's free versions in every one of them. There's also paid versions in every one of them. And the difference between free and paid is paid just allows you to create more images, do more as the paid version does. So I pay the $20 a month because of the fact I use it all the time. So, and there's no restrictions for what I do. So creating your ChatGPT account free or paid allows you to create your voice with AI. Always use your login version to get the best results. So and you can get the app on your phone. I have it on my computer, but I can use it both ways. And I, use it so many different ways. And there's a lot of different ways to use it. Um, the DNA template, and this is like the 9 steps, the DNA template, which I'll show you, is you want to fill it out and then copy it back into ChatGPT. There's questions. And there's what they call a markdown version, which I'll get into, is the reason why you have to do it in the specific steps that I'm going to show you. Because the prompts in that DNA template are already there. You're going to save it as an MD called Markdown File and save it into your download file. I was in Texas this weekend with my daughter at her baby shower, and one of the guys that was there who I met at her wedding, nice guy, and he's a cybersecurity guy. And we were talking about apps, and I was telling him I was doing this AI, and I said, most people don't know what a markdown file is. I thought he was going to fall off his stool. He goes, wait a minute. You know what markdown is? He says, nobody in this house would know what markdown it is. I thought I liked you, but now I love you. I mean, it was hilarious. It was so funny because, you're speaking their language. Markdown
Right.
file, all it is, it's a way that the computer reads it better. That's all that is. That's, simplified version of it. And it's where you see the hashtags and you see the lines. Okay. That is called a markdown file, and the computer reads it so that it's easier to follow. That's all that is. You're going to go, and I have all these steps. So I'm going to kind of skip through this part of it so that I can show you, because I actually marked it all the way down.
Can
So
I interject for a second?
yes, please.
Okay, so I want to just go back for the benefit of the listeners to what you said about the use the login version to get your best results. So
Yes,
what you're meaning by that is so that it could track your who you are and
yes,
replicate that and replicate
yes,
your voice.
yes.
So that's what I found in working with ChatGPT is the more
Hmm.
I use it, the more it gets to know me.
Yes.
And it's so funny because it'll say, "Would you like to make it in the classic heartfelt ECN style?"
There you go. Exactly. Exactly.
It's
And the funny thing
adorable.
is you're right. If you continue to use it all the time, then it automatically connects with you. But if you're brand new to ChatGPT, which I was, I purposely before I took the class did not go in and do anything because I didn't want to mess up my brain. I wanted to learn it right. And the benefit of having the DNA clone in there is that as soon as you put that information in there, it automatically starts to talk like you do. So it's speeding up the process. Does that make sense?
Yeah, so you're saying because I started out organically and
Yes.
using my account consistently,
Yep.
over time it has done what the DNA clone was doing.
Right.
Would there be a benefit to me still doing the DNA clone?
Yes.
Okay.
Because you will find that it will narrow down and really get down to who you are.
Okay.
And it would be fun to try that, Cyndi, is to see the difference. So when you put the DNA clone in there, is be able to see how it does it differently for you. Kind of
Awesome.
interesting. Yeah, no, it's kind of
Right.
interesting. And I'll show you how to put that together. We're going to make a project file folder that you add files onto. And then within the project, we talk about, so I'm just going to kind of move forward here because otherwise it'll get overwhelming. You want to create your ChatGPT account, whether it's free or paid, either one. Always use your login version. When you go into ChatGPT, there's a project on the left-hand side of ChatGPT, and you can look at that on your phone. It's what happens is it allows it'll say create a project. And what I'm doing with the create a project is this is where I put in Molly's clone. I typed in Molly's clone on that. All right. And so you'll put your own in there. You want to have that because everything you're going to be working with that you want to speak in your voice is going to be under Molly's clone or under your clone. This is the prompt. And if you want to take a screenshot of this, if you're just on the phone, you want to take a screenshot of this, go right ahead, because this is where you could take the photo and you can put that into ChatGPT and ask them to put it into text form for you. And you'll notice where it has the hashtags. This is what they call a markdown file. It's a text in Canvas, not Canva, Canvas. And that's what it looks like from here. So you could take a screenshot of that, throw it into ChatGPT and have them put it in a text form because you need to fill out all the answers. So you won't have time to do this right now. But it's one of the reasons this is being recorded. And when I learned this, I literally went back and watched the recording 3 or 4 times to make sure I had all the steps right. So don't think you're going to get this all in one. Um, you won't, unless you could. You're a lot smarter than I am. Okay. But it puts down your name, your current occupation, who I serve, what I do, your future direction, where you're moving toward, your goals for the next 90 days, why they matter to you. What it's doing is finding out who you are so that it can create new patterns in your voice. That's where answering all these questions do. And it talks about the best wins and hardest lessons. Um, And what's really interesting is once you got this all in, and then I'm going to show you 5 questions. There's some prompts you can put in, and what it comes back with. One of the guys I work with in my ads and Facebook ads, he's all into this AI too. And he put in there, he says, "Who needs a psychiatrist?" He says, "Just ask this question, it'll tell you." And I did. It was hilarious what it comes back with because it's spot on. Once they know who you are, it's spot on. And it can be your cheerleader, it can be able to help you. To me, it's like my coach because, what do I need to do in the next 90 days to get farther? Okay, you need to do this and this and this and this. And again, I'm a perfectionist, and it goes into that saying, you need to get rid of the perfectionist and you just need to get it out. And that's what my coach has been telling me, right? So, I mean, it's funny and it's laughable, but it's there. Okay, and it's real. So, answering all these questions, then you're going to go into, you're going to save it as a markdown file. So once you've done that, on the right side, it'll say, okay, let me see if I've got this down here.
So does it actually say markdown file
It'll
or
say MD. So when you go to add it, I'm going to
okay.
see here. When you go to add it into ChatGPT, there's 3 dots in the right top corner. When you've got your project. So this was an SPC sip and share, which was I taught this class as well. And this is a project. So it would have been the same thing as Molly's clone. And so when I have finished it, and then on the right click, it'll say save as, and it'll say you can save it as a Word document. You could save it, in all the different formats. It'll say MD. I think it says markdown on there as well. Save it as a markdown file. You're going to save it onto your computer. Okay, so it's going to go into one of your files, or you can go into your downloads because it'll download it. And then once you do that, then you go over back to your project where it says Molly's clone or your clone, and that's where you click on add file. And when you add file, it allows you to be able to load that markdown file of all the answers that you have and put it into your clone. That's the step. That's how you get it in there.
Okay, so I'm going to interject
Yes,
because
please, because
you're
that's a
listening
little
to this
confusing.
and this
Yep,
feels like a little daunting and overwhelming, and there's a lot of steps to it. Molly's going to be offering a skill shop. We're dialing in the date. So if you're local here, the Seattle area, stay tuned. We'll be announcing that. But Molly, just bring it to us in a way that, there's the creative expression, because I know you have some slides and some things you wanted to go through, but I
right.
want to make sure we stay grounded so
Yep,
people don't get overwhelmed by the details of it, because
right.
we're going to have to be, I think, the slide skill shop is going to be able to,
Yeah, cover a lot of
yeah.
ground. And if anybody's got questions, afterwards in here, don't, I know all of you, so don't hesitate to reach out to me too.
And we'll leave
Mhm.
time for
Yeah, we'll leave time for
Q&A. We'll,
questions.
we'll
Yep,
open it up here for
right.
questions, but yeah, let's try to keep it at a high level approach. We
I
could
will
talk
do that.
about the creative expression and stuff too, because I
You
don't
got
want
it.
it to be too daunting.
All right. So we'll get past the markdown and the saving the files. I've shown here where it says personal DNA template. That's what it will look like. Okay. And then the right side is where you see that personal
So we're
DNA.
not
That's
seeing your screen.
You're not seeing my screen.
No,
Okay. Oh, I wonder why. Had you seen my screen up till now?
no.
Oh, well, no wonder you guys don't know what I'm doing here. Okay. So why are you not seeing my screen? All right. You gave me the ability to share.
Yep, I
Yes.
made you a co-host, so you
Oh,
should
all
be able
right.
to.
No, hang on a minute. I got it. My bad. No wonder you're okay. That's where you're lost because you hadn't seen my screen. Can you see my screen
No.
now?
Yes.
Okay. Perfect. So let's go back to a little bit here so you could at least see what you know what you're looking for. So if I go back, wait a minute. Slideshow from current slide. Okay, there we go. All right, you can see my slide. All right, let's go back. This is the DNA. Sorry if I didn't know you just could see my screen. That's my fault. So this is the snapshot. This is the DNA clone. If you want to take a picture of this one, this is the page I was talking about. And then once you take the picture of this can go into your ChatGPT, ask it to put it in a text format, and then you can pull it, copy and paste it onto a Word document, fill it all out, and then put it back into ChatGPT and save it as a markdown file. So, all right. So now that we got that back again, this is where the project goes in. So you're putting in adding files from there. You're downloading it to your computer. So it's a personal DNA template. So in the second version, which is the personal DNA, that's actually the markdown file. That's what it will look like. And all it is computerese. It's saying, okay, it's showing the computer how they can talk to it. Over here, where there's little dots, okay, you see SPCP share it. This is a screenshot of my ChatGPT, and there's three dots on there, and it says add instructions. Now this one, this isn't something you'll probably see anywhere else, but these instructions, and again, feel free to take screenshots of this. With the add the instructions, putting in here, you are my clone co-pilot. So you're typing in, use the files in this project as my personal DNA, default to my goals, voice, and constraints when advising me, ask 1 to 2 clarifying questions if anything is ambiguous. And then you're typing it into that sheet and then just hit save. And that has been really interesting because if I type something in and it's not, I've given ChatGPT permission to ask me questions to clarify. And that was
Oh,
under, yeah, I know that's kind of an extra step. I
that's
would,
interesting because
right?
that's not, yeah, I haven't
No,
had that happen.
no. And it's, yeah, if you put that in, you'll get it. So that's kind of cool to be able to put that in because when I heard that, I'm like, oh, okay, this just takes it up a few notches on this.
It does, and it saves you time having to input the information and
Yes,
correct because a lot of times I think I'm being clear, but I'm not apparently.
right,
It's giving me an answer that I didn't want,
right,
and then I'm having to reframe it like, okay,
right.
let me ask this again. So
And the
it's
closer you get to your DNA clone, the closer you get to this, the less you have to really ask, clarify.
right.
Now, there's another level you can do personalization on the bottom left-hand part of your ChatGPT screen. That's where usually your picture is and your email address or whatever your login is. If you click on that, it'll show up and it will say settings and it'll give you choices. So when this box will pop up and you hit personalization and it gives you, you can do your base tone and style. You can hit default. I left mine alone because it was, because I had my DNA so dialed in, I didn't need to touch it. But you can on case points. So let's say you're writing a professional letter and you want it to sound super professional. You can go into this personalization and you can make it more professional. You can make it, however you want to put it. And if you're doing a specific thing, you can make a voice sound different, um, case by case, which is kind of fun to do that.
I've noticed that just using, without the clone,
Hmm.
um, that it will ask me or I'll tell it, I want it to be a warm email or a
Yep.
professional email so you can
Yep.
stipulate
Yep.
what the tone is.
And most of us who've been in business a long time, we're the same on any level, right? Like how I am in business is the same as I am with my kids. It doesn't change. But not everybody's business can do that. Like Karen's, she's in finances, right? So her conversation may have to be, excuse me, different to some people than it is to somebody else. This would be kind of a nice thing to know, to be able to put those two together.
Right.
So
Depending on your field. But also
depending
I
on your
noticed
field, exactly.
there are times I want to be a little more professional versus a little
Mhm.
more warm
Exactly.
and you don't want that edge on things. You want it to be
Exactly.
more
And it gives you a chance to personalize it if you want to. You can do this. So one of the fun things that they gave us is to do a prompt analysis. So I've got, and you can screenshot this as well. And this, after you've got your personal clone in, you can take these questions and ask them based on my personal clone DNA. What is one thing you can tell me about myself that I may not know about myself? You will be amazed. And I don't know if you're like me, I sat there and I laughed. I mean, every time I did this and came up with something, I'm like, holy crap. And my husband's laughing at me because I'm in my office and I'm just laughing. And he's going, oh my gosh, she's doing another AI thing because it's just so spot on. And it's putting a mirror to you. I actually look at it as a camera because mirrors lie, but cameras never do. So it's like you put the camera up to you and you're hearing stuff going, oh, oh, because other people see us as different than we see ourselves. what this does, this when you get your DNA clone, actually shows you what other people think about who you are because it's a different uh, observation. So it's kind of fun to be able to have the opportunity to do that. Life advice based on my personal clone, my goals, fears, and where I'm in life. If you were my wisest friend, what advice would you give me about my next 90 days? you know, it's really fun. It's really fun to be able to see this. One of the ones that I love is the gap analysis based on my personal clone DNA, compare where I'm at now to where I want to be in the future. What's my biggest gap? And what's my one concrete step I should take this week to close it? And that's just like a hit in the face here. And I did answer some of these questions in here. And again, you can snapshot this too, because there's some more. There's a career business strategy, um, decision support. I'm deciding between X and Y. What would you advise? Consider my goals and constraints. Help me through the pros and cons of specific decisions. It really helps to clarify because if you're debating about, oh, should I get this new office space or should I stay here? You can literally go in and you get a very honest opinion that you're not, because your mother tells you, oh, don't spend the money. Your husband says, oh, maybe you could, but I don't know about this. They're doing personal opinions. ChatGPT now becomes a generic person who's reading your DNA, following patterns and they're looking out to what the world is doing and what's out there in the world, and they're going to give you a good business answer. Now, do you have to follow it? Absolutely not. But it's really nice to get somebody giving you an opinion based on information they're pulling from all over the place because that's what they do is they find pattern recognition. They're looking to go, okay, who else is doing this? One of the questions that I asked when I was starting my beauty business mastery is I asked the question, give me and you can go into a deep research on it. Give me 20 people, 20 businesses that do what I do, helping beauty business owners, and asked, and tell me the pros and cons, what they do, what they offer, and what I offer comparison. And so going down through it, they gave me, they asked questions. Did you want big companies, small companies? The whole bottom line came down to is that the things that I offer that's different than anybody else does is I show them how to sell their business at the end. Nobody else is doing that. And I wouldn't have known that unless I had asked ChatGPT. So as I'm starting to promote my beauty business mastery, I'm going to make sure that that's a very big part of what I talk about is being that. And so it can really help to hone down what makes you special and what makes you unique by asking specific questions. And it's how you prompt. And here's a real cheat for you. You can, if you have specific information that you want to know, you could go into ChatGPT and give me 10 prompts of information that I want to ask about XYZ, and it will give you the prompts so you can get the best answers. So that kind of that because a lot of times, what happens if I do the prompt wrong? Ask ChatGPT. It'll give you the prompts what to say, which I thought,
Can you say that again? Give me 10
give
prompts.
me 10 prompts. So, you're trying to make a decision or you want to ask a question. Give me 10 prompts of how to be able to let people know because you got your DNA clone in there and they tell you, it's got all your goals in there. So every time that you want to ask a question that has to do with who you are and what you're doing, you've got to make sure you open your project and ask the questions there. So on your screen, when you see on the top left, there's a new chat. If you open up a new chat, not under your clone, it's going to answer the question not as tight and not as accurate as if you open it up under your clone. So if I'm just asking a question, random, I'm looking for a new car and I want to do this, I'll open it under new chat, not under Molly's clone. But if I want to ask something that has to do with my business and who I am, and I want answers, then you open it up under your clone. So there's a difference with those, and it does make a difference. And I didn't understand it to begin with, and the more I work with it, the more I see the differences. So to answer your question, Cyndi, is that let's say that I want to know, give me 10 prompts of how to ask what makes me unique in the business world today. And you can narrow it down to whatever you want, and it will come up with the 10 prompts of things to ask, things you wouldn't even think about. It wouldn't even occur to you.
So I can ask that for networking.
Yep. Yep. Give me
Okay.
10 prompts of what makes networking unique in ECN that's different than others. Or yeah, there's a whole lot of things. And the more you do, it can be a rabbit hole, but it's like it gives you more clarification. And it's just fascinating. And if you're anything like me, you're going to sit there and laugh going, "Holy crap. Okay, look at this."
So these are inquiries that we all do anyway, but it just
Yes.
takes us a lot more, a lot
Right.
more
It just
time and energy to get the results and get that clarity.
and this is what one of the speakers I was listening to yesterday, he said, he says, what people don't understand is he says, all AI does is shorten the I won't even say the learning curve. It shortens the time that to put together something that you could do yourself, like PowerPoints, right? It shortens down the time so that you can spend the time doing what you love to do, which is being creative. I love to come up with new ideas of um, how to be able to teach people. But I can go into AI and go, what is the top 10 things, way that people like to learn today? What's the best learning curve? If I'm going to do this online, what's the best way to do it? How many slides should you have? How many words should be in each slide? I had Marcel say you need to make sure you have less than 20 words. And I'm like, oh, I got to fix that, because these are people who know. But that's tough. If I had asked that question in ChatGPT, I would have known that. Okay. But those are, they just keep the questions keep piling up on each other because you want to be the best version of yourself. And so this allows you to get rid of all of the muck that's in your mind that keeps you grounded and allows you to be able to be creative and let ChatGPT or your AI do the heavy lifting
Wow, this is
using
amazing.
using your voice, using your voice.
This is amazing. And another point that you made earlier that I just want to circle back with is
Hmm.
the unbiased piece. So
Yeah,
when you're asking your husband or a friend, you're getting their perspective
right.
versus you're getting hard data that's being fed to you from, the web,
The
right?
web that's pulling it all in. And we could do all that research ourselves. We could go in and look, but how much time would it take to go in and look to see what other people are doing? Because remember, go back to the beginning. You have to be authentically yourself. And one of the things that makes each business thrive is showing people who you are. Who are you and what you offer the world? People would rather be around. I have people that come to me for permanent makeup because I'm older. They like the fact that I'm older. They don't want to go to a young girl. They want to go to somebody who looks like she's got more experience. Now, I could have been doing it 2 years. I don't know. But, because I have such a background in what I do, the expertise is there. Everybody is an expert in something. You just have to figure out what it is that you want to show the world you're expert in, and how do you want to show it? How do you want to show up in it?
I'm glad it's come in full circle because I
It
think it's
is.
beautiful that people with, that have lived on this planet longer, not everyone, it's not by virtue of the fact that you're old, you're wise,
No.
but, there's wisdom in age, there's wisdom
Mhm.
in experience in different, fields.
Well, what I find really interesting too is that for years, and it's been since I was a kid. I'm going to be 70 this year, and it's like since I was a kid, college was the answer, and you had to go to college in order to get a good job, and you know, and for years, I really thought I was the stupid one in my family because I didn't go to college. I mean, I got a brother who is a doctor, a sister who's a nurse, another one's a drafting engineer, another one's an accountant, and I didn't go to college, and it was a choice that I made. And I always thought for years I was the stupid one. And what I found out through years, and now it's starting to come out with all of the stuff that creativity that's doing. And I'm hearing more and more people talk about the fact going college education is not necessarily the answer for everybody. And
That's right.
you might have, going forward, maybe your best move is to be able to learn and do the things you want to do, and college might not be your answer. And I'm thinking, finally, that the my son went to Renton Tech to learn to do welding. He's doing way better than his brother who went to college, financially. I mean, it's not necessarily for everybody, and everybody's brain works differently. And
Well, that's true, and that's another shift I think that we're, going to be
yeah,
starting to see in our society is the
yep.
trades are, going to be very
Oh, very, very,
valuable.
very,
It's
very
on
valuable.
par with being a doctor years ago.
Oh, and they're dying for them. They are dying for these young kids. They don't get good workers, and they have to be good workers. You can't just to go into the trades, you have to work. You can't just, float by. You can't do that.
No, you have to have a good work ethic.
Exactly. This is where I was talking about the multiplier. We were talking about the fact you can just read into it or you can type something into it. I find it's easier to talk and then you talk into the microphone, it brings it into a text format, and then ask it to give you all these different things. And then you can add pictures or do whatever you want to do with it. And I think the more you play with this, the better you get with it. But it just saves hours of time and frustration because who likes to create content? I mean, I remember back in the day when I was starting to learn it, and I'm like, oh crap. Well, and they're like, well, you can do content for 6 months and then just reuse it. I'm like, who the heck remembers what I did 6 months ago? Okay. Yeah, okay. I got to organize it all in my files. Oh, too overwhelming. This you can be new every time you do it, which I love. I
So can
absolutely
I
love.
ask you,
Yep.
so with like the avatars
Uh-huh.
and the branding,
Hmm.
I get it when you're talking about your voice
Yep.
because it can take your voice and replicate it and
Yep.
the way you speak, the words you choose, the
Yep.
tone. But how do you create something like a social media post where that's more in your brain. How do people take these tools creatively while still staying true to their personal brand?
Um, Really comes down to, how you speak. When I had hired social media people, and I've had people do my social media posts before, and I remember the first one that I hired, I had to really work with them because they kept trying to put it into these I don't want to social media post, speak. And I'm like, yeah, it doesn't sound like me. It doesn't sound like me. One of the things that I love to do is tell stories of, what people, who they did. So I literally took it back over again because it just didn't sound like me. They were beautiful, aesthetically, they were really pretty, but it didn't sound like me. And so that's where the beauty of this is that you can literally speak into it with your voice, as long as your DNA's in there, right? That it speaks to you. Again, you can do the long version and just do what, Cyndi did and just do it because we didn't know any better, right? That's what we did. Or you can shorten the time frame by putting in your DNA clone and actually putting it in there so it'll speak to you. Um, the, but the more authentic you are, and that we'll talk about the avatars here because this is kind of leading into that because the questions people are asking themselves going, well, if I use an avatar, I want people to see who I am. All right, the avatars, the way I see it, okay, this is my personal opinion. The avatars are fun. They're not meant to be teaching tools. They're meant to be, hi there, I'm thinking about you. Let's have some fun together. Okay, so Vicky is one of my clients, and this is an actual picture of her. And I kind of went nuts with it. And she goes, I showed it to her. She goes, my eyes are blue. I said, okay, let's fix it. So went back in and asked him to do it. You know, the prompts I was just putting in here, just put in here, that she does. She trains to be a permanent makeup artist. This is what she does, and this is what ChatGPT comes up with. And they're meant to be fun, not to replace you. That's not what the whole thing's all about. So, like during St. Patrick's Day, I had an avatar of me and I posted that, and it's meant to be fun. So, be careful how you use it. It's not to take over you, it's just meant to be a lighthearted version of you.
That's a good perspective. I appreciate that
Well, it's
because I'm
because,
seeing them around and I'm
right.
like, okay, are they
And
trying to
see,
look younger?
I see how people are using them, right?
Okay.
This is the one thing you got to see how people are using them. I was talking to a friend of mine who's a professional photographer, and she said AI has been killing her business because people are using their photos and doing headshots, and she's not wrong. I had one of my clients who actually came to the ECN meeting last week. And we were talking AI, and she was all excited about it. And so I said, let's just take a picture. I just finished her eyebrows. Let's take a picture. Let's make it into an avatar and do a cartoon version and do an avatar version because they're different, right? And so it was, and then I said, let's do a headshot because she was saying she wanted to go get a headshot done. I said, well, let's take this picture and see. And literally, it was good enough; it could be used as a headshot. It really turned out very, very good. But again, there's different ways to use stuff, you know, and image. ChatGPT doesn't necessarily always come up with the best version. Gemini AI is another really good one that does images. In fact, that's what I learned on. In fact, I'll show you something that I did. This is something I went to a Christmas party. And this stuff is changing so fast, by the way. So I could teach you something and tomorrow it could change. Okay. So, there's certain things. And in fact, it was kind of funny because I was looking for a button that ChatGPT used to be in one spot. And I thought, I'm just going to ask ChatGPT where they put it. And it did, oh, here it is right here. I'm like, okay, that was fun. So anytime that they move something, just ask ChatGPT. They'll tell you where it is. Um, Gemini AI used to be better than ChatGPT. Now that's no longer the case. But I went to a Christmas party and we were just having fun. And the top picture is the owner of the salon I'm in. And this was just the picture we took. She goes, I want to be in a mountain lodge with it snowing outside. Okay. So we did the first picture. She goes, I want Bernese puppies at my feet. Okay. We added the Bernese puppies. She goes, I want to have a glass of wine in my hand with a lumberjack in the background. So now this is where this is where the
That's
AI
hilarious.
it was hilarious. But here's, I don't know if you can see it really clear, but in order to get the glass of wine, it brought a third hand in. Okay. And then, of course, the lumberjack is so close to the house and doesn't show anything. So it will start to muck up after you've given it a few more directions. But it was pretty funny as we were putting it together. And then I did the lower pictures. That was just a picture of two of the girls, and we just put it, a beautiful background because they had such pretty colors on it. So, you can have some fun stuff with this, putting some backgrounds. In fact, I did one today of Cyndi. Um, I took a
Oh, I've
picture
got an
off.
avatar.
I did an avatar, and all I did
I
is
love
say,
it.
take Cyndi and just put a garden background. So, you know,
Oh my gosh. You
and
need to
and I
send
did
me
this
that.
like within 2 minutes. It didn't even take 2 minutes to do this. On my avatars that I have here. So this is a picture, my real picture. It's in my salon and having this. And I asked to make an avatar. I love what they did with this. But the second one where it says hello, gorgeous at the top, I asked for a cartoon version of it. So you can see the differences on it. So there is a difference between a cartoon version and an avatar version.
So
Um,
the one you did of me, was that cartoon or avatar?
that was Avatar. It
Oh,
looks more of
okay.
a cartoon though. So I would tweak that one a little bit more on that. It's just kind of funny how they kind of put things together. And sometimes what I have found is better to start all over again. When it's going wonko, just start all over again, open a new chat, and just start again if it's not going where you want it to go. Um, you can also take the pictures, like I took the picture here, and I said, give me a full body thing. So you don't have to have a full body shot in order to make a full body avatar. You can ask for different things. You can say jump in the air, which is what I did. I asked to have a salon background, so I did that. So you can just keep asking different prompts and having some fun with it.
Wow, that's fun.
It is. I mean, it's a hoot and a half. And there's some things that turn out better than others, But again, just keep playing with it. Um, I'm just going to say, next three moves: have 5 meaningful conversations with your clone, create 1 week of posts, and generate 3 on-brand messages. From this class, you could do all of that, putting it together.
That's awesome. I love
Ah,
it.
a lot of information, a lot
A
of
lot of
information there, a
information.
lot of information. So anyway, questions. If anybody's got questions, I have
So
if
let's
anybody,
before
Mhm.
we
Yep,
before we open it up, because I know we've gone long here, but we want to make sure we open it
yep.
up for questions. Share with our listeners how they can get a hold of you if they want to learn more about you
So
and
on the
direct you.
screen, I have a scan code. You can just scan this. It'll
And
take
for
you
the
into my calendar.
podcast, for
Oh,
the
okay. Or they can contact me at 425-280-9088. Text me, or they can email me at molly@beautybusinessmastery.com.
that's beautybusinessmastery.com.
Businessmastery.com. Yeah, Molly at beautybusinessmastery.com, or the phone number 425-280-9088.
Perfect. And I'll put your contact information below in the description as well.
That would be great. That would be great. But
Oh, this
yeah,
is so much fun, Molly. Thank you
I
so
know.
much.
It just keeps getting, better and better and better.
Oh my
So,
gosh.
yep.
It's a whole new world, isn't it?
Yep. It is.
And I love the ability to be, I mean, we don't need graphic designers as much anymore with
No,
Canva. And
no,
then with
Canva.
AI, is opening up other opportunities for us to be creative and be able to do it in-house. So this is a great opportunity. If anybody has any questions, any comments, enter into the conversation with us here. Just go ahead and unmute yourself, and we'd love to hear your perspective.
Do you want me to stop share, Cyndi? I can just, I'll do
Sure.
the, yeah, we'll do that. Okay. There we go. Okay. Yep. Anybody have any questions for me?
Marley unmuted herself, so
I have a comment.
Please.
Several years ago, a friend made an observation to me, and she said, excuse me, she said, you can always tell where society is going by what the big buildings are that they're building. And she said, if you look back in American history, you can see there was a time when they built universities. There was a time when they built schools. There was a time when we built malls. Now we're taking malls out. Most recently, I've noticed at healthcare facilities, new healthcare facilities everywhere. But there's a newer one. I just saw this posted on Facebook yesterday, and it was the number of states where they are building the new, okay, now I don't even know the terminology, the power plants, the
Yes.
storage facilities for AI.
Yes.
It's incredible the number of states. I'm like, okay, we've now shifted from healthcare to AI storage facilities.
Mm-hmm.
I thought that was
Because
very
it takes a lot of energy. So yeah, I've heard this too. Because they're talking about going nuclear power again to be able to do this because it takes so much energy to take care of the AI, and it's just exploding right now. Yeah.
that's a great observation, Marley. I hadn't thought about that, but you're right. We actually can see it, but we have to look for it. We have to pay
Right.
attention, right?
Right. Exactly.
So do you see this? I mean, obviously you can do the excuse me, avatars or the clone, let's see what you say, cartoons.
Mm-hmm.
But is it, I mean, we still have the need for photographers to
I
capture.
think so. Yeah. I mean, I've had headshots done for, 30 years, and it still captures who you are as a person. People need to see the authentic you. But if you're in between headshots and you just want something that, is more current, maybe your hairstyle changed and you haven't had a chance to get a headshot done, it's a good way to be able to, like I said, you got a hairstyle change or something that's a little different. Yeah. Yeah.
Or more fun.
Yeah. 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 Exactly.
So Chuck,
Yeah. Well, Molly, I really appreciate this because this is a topic that I've been wanting to learn a lot about.
Yep.
Because I'm kind of a background science guy,
Yep.
and I
I
like
know.
this stuff. But I like the idea that you're trying to make this something complex simple
Yeah.
to understand, and that's what I need.
Hmm.
So I really appreciate it because I do think this is the next big thing. And I didn't realize until actually I saw your presentation at the meeting that, wow, this is something different than I thought it was going to be, you know.
Good. In a good way, I should say that. In a good way.
Yeah, in a
Okay.
really good way. So
Okay.
now my enthusiasm for it's really peaked.
Good.
So that's why I'm hoping that you are going to do a skill shop
Yep.
because I need a launch here,
Yep.
to
I get it. And when we do it, I'm going to have people bring their computers so they can literally set everything up.
yeah.
And we'll have a homework assignment before they come so that they can make it all work.
Yeah, okay. So I
Mhm.
just wanted to just say that I really appreciate it and I really look forward because I also am a lifelong learner.
I know you
So
are.
so
Yep.
I'm thirsty for knowledge, especially new stuff.
Yeah. I know. And it's fun stuff. It's just,
Yeah,
yeah,
I didn't realize it would be fun, but I guess it is.
it
So
is.
thank you so much.
You're welcome.
and that's part of Molly's, the ingredients in Molly's brilliance is she creates processes that are really easy to follow. So thank you for that, Molly.
Yep. If I can't follow it, I don't think anybody else can.
So
So,
Karen, thanks for joining us.
Yeah, so I use ChatGPT all the time, but I didn't know that you could input stuff to have it know your voice even more. I mean, it knows my voice because it
right.
always says, Karen, would you like to put this, more in a KK Financial Solution voice, or would you like to
Mhm.
do this or that? And the other day, so I took the heart behind the heart behind the
Daily Hustle of Champions.
yeah, the Daily
Mhm.
Hustle. brief, and I inputted it into ChatGTP, and I told it to create a what did I tell it? I said create a professional blurb, so some like a spotlight, because somebody else wants me to do a briefing or do a presentation about it. And I said, just give me like a blurb so they can promote it. So I put that in there and it said, well, here's a professional conference style, or here's a more inspirational style, or here's a shorter event agenda version style. So it's
Right.
like,
Isn't that great? And you can pick what you
yeah.
want.
So now it's like, oh, I didn't know I could do it even, just even that more personal, that part where you said where I can do even more
Yep.
stuff. It's like, wow, I can even do even just that little bit in the settings. It's like, wow, I can even say, oh, and I can name and tell them that my name is Karen.
Exactly. And you can actually do a clone for like your business clone and you can do a personal clone.
Yeah, I
So
was seeing
speaking,
that.
especially for what you do, because you would have two different voices, I could see. And so
Hmm.
you could actually do it that way and give yourself two different voices and so you could speak in the way you want to. And it simplifies. There's another level too, using the voice clone, and that's another class. So I don't want to get people in that. There's another level you could go with it.
Yeah, yeah.
That's
That's a different
exciting.
skill shop.
That's another skill shop. Yeah. I could actually probably teach it in that skill shop, so we can do that.
Oh,
Hmm.
okay. That'd be great.
Yeah.
Wow, this has been super fun. Thank you so much, Molly. We just appreciate you sharing your knowledge with us. I know you said it was a 7-week course. You put
Yep.
a lot of time and energy and finances into it. And
Yep.
thank you for so freely sharing it with our community and this podcast and then the follow-up for the skill shop. We looking forward to being able to roll up our sleeves and be able to learn more. So kind of in closing here, um, if someone's listening today and realize they've been borrowing other people's content or struggling to consistently show up online, what first steps would you encourage them to take to start cloning their own brilliance? And I know you went over a lot of this, but just
Mhm.
kind of to put a bow around what you've been talking about today.
A lot of it is finding out who you are and what you want. And that's when one of that DNA template is really hones in on who you are, what you want, and who you want to be out to the world. And so the thing is finding out what you want out of your business or where you want to head. You got to know that stuff first before you can be able to tell other people. So ChatGPT helps to get that voice in, that inside voice outside. So taking it
Nothing
step by step.
takes nothing takes place of you knowing yourself,
No,
right?
no. And that was one of the things that the guy said. Thank you for saying that. Because the guy said yesterday, and I just thought, oh, this is good. He says, you are not replacing yourself. He says, there's no way. He says, if people want to be lazy, he says they can use, the AI. But if you didn't do the work first and have all of the information that we have and that we've learned, you will not be farther ahead. It's like you still have to do the groundwork of knowing your stuff so that you can be able to use ChatGPT to take you to another level.
So there's a difference between replicating yourself and reproducing yourself, right?
Yes, there
So
is.
we're not reproducing ourselves, we're replicating ourselves
We're
to be able to
replicating
be
ourselves.
more, you
Right.
know,
Be more efficient.
efficient,
Hmm.
right?
Hmm.
And but the
And to be able to
creativity
be more
part,
creative,
right,
it
right.
allows you to take the time to be creative.
Oh, I love this. This is just a great conversation, very timely with what's going on in the world. It takes all the fear out of what we've been hearing about AI
Hmm.
and really puts in the hands of, us as entrepreneurs, to be able to help us be more efficient. So
Yep.
thank you so much, Molly. Any
My
closing
pleasure.
words that you haven't already shared that you want to share with our before we land here?
One of the things I love to do is I love to teach, and I love to people get excited like I get excited about stuff like this. And nobody's not smart enough to be able to do any of this. Anybody can do this. This is not rocket science. It's just you need to follow the steps. So don't sit there and go, oh, I can't do it. It's just too much. Okay. Really just go down. Okay. If I just follow the steps and do this step by step, I can do it and have fun with it.
That's great encouragement. Well,
Hmm.
thank you everyone for joining us. Signing out here. Remember to make every connection an exceptional connection. Thank you guys. Bye.
Thanks. Bye.